Welcome to this session, everyone. Our guest is Mandy Doman. She is the Chief Operating Officer of Advanced Brain Technologies and is a leading expert in music listening therapy. In addition to homeschooling her children, she developed her own protocols for the neural development of her youngest child. For nearly 2 decades, she has coached thousands of health, educational, and therapeutic professionals internationally. And today, she's with us to teach us about music listening therapy and how it can help our own brain. Welcome, Mandy Doman.
Thank you so much, Erin. It's such a pleasure to be here and to share our work with your audience. And thank you so much for the Brain Summit and all of the work that you do.
Well, as always, and if someone's wondering too, if that name sounds familiar, Mandy is the wife of our dear friend, Alex Doman, who is presenting too. And Alex and Mandy, in addition to running Advanced Brain Technologies, Alex co-founded Vital Neuro. And you've seen him here before with me talking about the listening program. Mandy and I are going to be talking about the listening program and how really specifically it involves your children, how it helps your children. For those of you who are looking for some information more on how it helps you as an adult, I'm going to link below to an interview I did a few years back based on my own case study over 12 weeks? It was quite a few months of using this program. And you can hear Alex and I talk about that. And today, Mandy and I might touch a little bit on the adult focus too. So Mandy, let me start right in the middle of it. Like, what is music listening therapy?
So if you think about the listening program, which is a neuroscience-based music listening therapy, what we're doing is we're capturing the most beautiful music. We're applying psychoacoustic modifications to that music so that it can be powerful enough to reach different areas of the brain, which then affects your performance in so many different areas of your life. So that is a really quick summary of what the listening program can do and how it works.
Okay, so then my question is probably everyone's question. How is this different, this music that you're using, and what does the delivery process look like that makes it different from if I just put maybe the AirPods or the earbuds, whatever those things are, into my kids' ears or my ears and have them listen to some Mozart?
Yeah, one of the ways that I really love to explain the listening program and what makes it so much different than other, beautiful music that may definitely help you to feel more focused, to improve your mood, to really just allow you to kind of reach that center of yourself that feels really good. When you think about listening therapy, what we're doing is we're literally hoping to stimulate different areas of your brain. So if you think about the keys of a piano, you've got the low frequency keys over to the left, you've got your middle range frequencies, and then high frequencies over on the right-hand side. What we're doing is we're literally capturing frequency bands so that your brain has an opportunity to experience low frequency sounds for a period of time, then sequentially progress to the middle range. And then finally, we move into the higher range of frequencies. So what we have found over 5 decades of work in this field is that sound frequencies relate to human brain function. So when you're using low frequencies of sound, it's supposed to really help you to feel more connected to your body. So for those who have sound sensitivities or just kind of a sense of hyperactivity where you just really find it hard for your kiddo to calm down, these low frequencies help to center you. They will also help to lower your heart rate, improve in your respiration, and give you a sense of calm, peace, and safety. It's such a beautiful experience when you're actually going through these sound frequencies. But as we move into the middle range, we actually can see some really exciting changes related to speech and language. It helps with memory and attention and focus because the speech sounds are actually in the middle range. So when we use music to stimulate that part of the auditory system, it relates in functional capabilities with our communication skills. So that's a really exciting change that we start to see typically within about 6 to 8 weeks is when we start to hear from our families. And then finally, those red high frequency zones, those really are, when we have somebody in that part of the program, we hear about, just a new sense of alertness. They're more motivated. They may be more independent, and they just seem to blossom and really open up to their world. So we'll move everyone through these frequencies in a very progressive way so that it's just right for them.
Mm-hmm. I remember those red zones. I have, I'm going to have Mandy talk to you a little bit about the headset, but I have mine that I've had for a while, and it connects to the program. And in case you're wondering how this is delivered to you, and this is where the bone conduction comes through. But again, I'm going to turn that over to the expert here. But I just remember being so happy when I got to those red zones, because it felt like you just eating birthday cake without the sugar rush and crash. And for those of us who love cake, you'll get that analogy there. But it's a beautiful alertness and this sense of excitement for life, this passion that comes through.
Yes, I actually remember that part of your journey, Erin. It was really amazing. I think you used something like the cobwebs were clearing out for you, and you were like decluttering your house and like creating this new space for yourself, which I thought was really a beautiful thing.
Do you remember? And that's one of the things too, I heard from a lot of adults during that case study that I did, that they often start organizing and clean out their homes. I don't know if that transfers to children though. So if a mom is looking and thinking the child's going to begin cleaning the room, you tell me, Mandy, does that magically occur?
Yeah, so I was working with one of our families. She is doing some coaching with one of our certified providers. And one of the chief complaints from mom was that her daughter's bedroom was just an absolute disaster. Her bathroom, it looked like she was a little tornado wherever she went. So I said, why don't you just take some pictures right now, then help her, right? Like help her get it all organized, show her the way that, it could look, and then just see what happens. Don't touch it. Just see what happens over time if the listening program does help her to have that sense of attunement to noticing those things. Because some kids, they just don't notice it, and they really don't really care that much, So she did take photos of it, and it wasn't perfect, but certainly she did notice that her organization was better. She was remembering to bring her homework home for the first time and turning it in. So this little girl was either an A or an F student. The only reason she would get an F is just the organizational skills and remembering to turn that homework in. So it is interesting just to see how when the brain organizes, how that translates into your life and your surroundings and your connections with other people as well.
In talking about the child users, who best benefits? I know that you work with children on the autism spectrum. You work with children with processing disorders, like you just talked about, maybe with organizational issues. Who am I missing?
Yeah, I would say really anyone who, number one, I find that our programs are really helpful for those on the autism spectrum, and also for those who really need to improve sensory processing. So a lot of times, auditory processing, sensory processing might actually look like a deficit in attention, where really it could be that they're so overwhelmed by what's happening in their environment. Yeah. They may not have the skills to filter out sound in the classroom so that they can focus on what their teacher is saying. I mean, I remember when my oldest son was in 5th grade, and I had him evaluated by a leading neurologist. And what we found was that for him, he didn't qualify for any medication, but he did lack the organization and the ability to process his environment adequately. And so as we started using the listening program for him, it became something where he was another kiddo where it was like either A's or F's, but we started to notice that he was able to really bring in his attention. He could notice when he started to feel focused and when he didn't. And, it really helped his own coping mechanisms. So as a mom, I really loved that piece, firsthand to see that come through. And we hear it all the time from our families as well. So it's definitely sensory processing, emotional regulation, It would definitely be related to learning and attention. Some kids who really struggle to read, reading is an auditory based skill. So by improving their ability to process information, we can help with phonemic awareness, fluency, comprehension. So we really see some neat things there with reading skills. But I mean, there really is, I think one of our providers said it best, if you have a brain, you can benefit from the listening program. There's a reason that it's for you.
Mm-hmm. And then the wonderful thing too, with it being non-invasive. So I think that, and we'll go to your headset in just a minute, but speaking of the children, I've gotten to hear stories from your providers. I've gotten to know so many of the wonderful providers that you've certified and trained and who work in your community and their success stories. And I love the ones of the children who were struggling and with their self-esteem, with where they were performing in school or their ability to read, and how far they come with just those several weeks into 12 weeks of using the listening program, and the smile on their face. And I see the pictures from the centers, and you think about that, because I know we can all go back and we all have those stories from our childhood where we felt shame or embarrassment or we had trauma wrapped around our performance in school. And I don't care how advanced someone was or not, we have so much pressure on us as children, and they have even more now, I think, that anything we can do to help them regulate and to help them have an easier time processing all the information that's coming at them, we have to do it.
Absolutely. And, there's actually a story on our website about a little girl who was 11, but as a 6-year-old, she was bullied by a 6th grader. And it was so troublesome for her. She did express suicidal thoughts. Mm-hmm. She was refusing to go to school. It affected her learning. It affected her friendships. She wouldn't even do things like dance, which she loved to do before. So she just kind of, suffered in silence in a lot of ways. Her parents did everything they could. They moved her schools. They got her in therapy, but they could not reach her. And it seemed like the problem was just getting worse and worse. And thankfully, her aunt is a certified provider of the listening program. And so she suggested the listening program for Amarillo. And within 3 months, they sent me some drawings. And one of them had a little girl, black, drawing tears, little black dots all around her, no color. And on the top of it, it said lost girl. And then another drawing the same day was a little girl, beautiful pink and purple dress, big smile, all colorful. And on the top, it said found girl. And when her mom asked what the drawings meant, she said, well, this is how I feel now. And it was only within 3 months of doing the listening program. So it just shows music is so powerful and it feels so good to listen to. And it can really make a significant impact in so many ways.
It really can. Those sounds, right? Whether they're low, the mid, the high, the frequencies, that's something too. I think so many of us, have you ever had that? I know you have that feeling or that instance where someone says something and it cuts through you. And because their tone or their frequency or their loudness, whatever it is, takes you right back to maybe being a child. And there was some figure in your life that had that same type of traumatizing voice. And I think with that, since we know these things, we all can go back to those states. We can go back to a state when someone sounds just like an ex of ours, someone who maybe we had a broken heart over, or someone we've lost. And we have to think about the fact that there's power in that. And we need to pay attention to what we can do to regulate ourselves around these sounds.
Oh, I love that. So true.
Okay, so let's take the headset in your hands, and I'm going to try to not talk so much so that the camera focuses on you. Because the first question is, how do parents get children to keep this headset on who might have a problem, or do you face that at all? I don't even know, with some of the kids not wanting to wear it, or if they're having sensory issues, feeling like they can't have that on their head.
Yeah, so the first thing that I've always told parents is, look, just see what happens. Sometimes it's the parents' hope and desire so strongly that is almost imposing on their little one, where they feel that pressure, like, oh, they really want me to wear these headphones. So there's going to be some resistance, number one. But the second thing is assume that they'll wear the headphones and just see what happens. You know, a lot of times, I mean, humans are curious beings, and especially if they're child, maybe you could put it on your own head, let them see you wearing it, smiling, happy, tell them what it is. Like, these are headphones, you know, these are headphones. Sound comes through the ear cuffs and you're going to hear it through your ears. Let them know like what they are. This is the bone conduction transducer that allows sound to come through your body. So we use simultaneous air, the sound through the ear cuffs, and then bone, the sound coming through the bone conduction transducer. And it's a multi-sensory way of experiencing our music listening therapy. And so it's just simply by, you know, a very simple explanation of these are headphones, you'll hear beautiful music. Do you want to try? Invite them. They'll usually say yes. And if they don't, then put them back on your head, be happy again, and then just keep trying for a minute and just say, let's just try for 2 seconds. And just put the headphones on. If they try to pull them off, just you take them back off. So it's kind of a give and take initially, but I have witnessed one of our certified providers in a conference center with a child on the autism spectrum screaming his head off, tears running down his face. She had the headphones on him in less than 5 minutes, and he was laughing and calm and so content. So I would just say, assume they're going to love it because they usually do.
We humans, we rise. And we rise to expectations. And I think that's beautiful advice. What about multitasking? So if someone's worried about, well, I don't know if my child will sit there with headphones on for 15 minutes or for a double session, which is 30 minutes. What's your advice there?
So what I always did with my kiddos is we had a Goto listening therapy box. So it's our TLP listening station in a way, you know, and I always put them in the same place typically just so that there was a routine and a consistency. I like the same time of day as much as possible so that you're setting up that routine. So many kids are, you know, coming and going all the time. And we've even heard like sometimes parents will say, this is really the only thing that we do that has like a really consistent pattern in our life, especially when they're little. And so just finding a time of day, number one, when you know they're going to be happy. The last thing we want is for you to feel like you have to force the listening program. We really need them in that comfortable, relaxed mood so that they can be receptive to listening training. And then, you know, find activities that you think they'll like. So with our son, Brendan, he just liked coloring. One of his favorite activities was to take watercolors, and he liked to paint his Hot Wheels. So we just did that a lot of the times. And what I would do is I would sit with him, get him involved in whatever activity he wants to do that day, spend a couple minutes with them, you know, that connection time. Then once he was very content and into whatever little project he was working on, then I would just say, okay, time for headphones. And I would just put the headphones on him. I secured it with a headband so that they wouldn't slide off when he was looking down. And then he would do his 15 minutes of listening, happy as can be. And it was really cute because the music will move from side to side. It moves on top of your head. So sometimes you'll even watch them tracking the sound with their eyes. So sometimes he would dance and other times he would be looking around like he was looking for where the sound was coming from. So it was just, as a little one, especially, I remember how much fun it was just to watch him listening and knowing that he was getting his auditory training. And then following that, I mean, the results after those headphones came off, he was so content. He would usually just keep playing quietly and so happy for a good 20 to 30 minutes after. So that carried through that calm, kind of peaceful feeling.
Yeah, you have a few different levels to this. If someone goes to the website is advancedbrain.com, and we'll link it below too. But so someone thinking, well, what do I need? And can I use it too? And that answer I can answer is yes, your whole family can use that headset, which is even better. But depending on what they're looking for in terms of themselves or their children, can you explain a little bit about the different options?
Yes, absolutely. Such a great question. This is the question I probably get asked more than about anything. So with the listening program, I always love for you to know that while we have 4 individual protocols, we call them TLP Core Programs, we are providing a progressive sequence of sound frequency training with numerous other, we call them neuroacoustic modifications. Those are the different treatments within the music that helps to stimulate different parts of the brain. But everyone will experience all of the frequencies in a specific progression according to your needs. So we really want to target what your needs are. And we also need to make sure that it's the right intensity level so that your brain can adapt and respond to it in the best possible way. So I would love to just describe the 4 core programs, because usually then people will just say, oh, well, I want them all. They are all for me. But we can do a really good job in helping you to choose like where you would want to start. So the first protocol is called TLP Spectrum. Our Spectrum protocol is going to be using a lot of our low frequency sounds, which relate to sensory processing, helping to create a sense of calm and safety and comfort so that you have like a healthy relationship with your own body, with your internal thoughts, as well as with the world around you. So if you're constantly feeling like you're in a state of constant threat or hypervigilance where you're having to cover your ears, protect yourself from unknown causes in your environment, it's really hard for you to be open and receptive to higher level skills like social development, learning, language, being creative, being organized. So we really want to start by getting you in a sense of safety and comfort. So Spectrum is great for really young children, ages 5 and under. It's wonderful for those who have sensory sensitivities, especially to sound. And it also helps with that sensory motor control. So if you have physical needs for fine and gross motor skills, especially handwriting, coordination, balance, those would all be reasons that you would start with Spectrum. The next protocol is called TLP Achieve. With Achieve, we're going to be focusing primarily on the middle range of frequencies that are related to speech and language. So if someone has severe speech and language needs, but we don't see it, a lot going on with like their development for their physical needs and sensory, we would definitely target an Achieve protocol for that person. So it's really all about helping with language for expressive and receptive skills, as well as memory, attention. So it's a great program for, maybe older elementary school kids that are struggling with attention, learning, and really those social developmental skills. So it's an exciting protocol really for people of all ages, but we do tend to see most of our clients of that age using our Achieve program. And then we have Level 1. Level 1 is actually one of the first programs that came out, so it's been used the longest. And it happens to be the most advanced listening therapy that we've created. So it has a lot of our highest level of treatments. I love this program for older teens and adults that are really interested in taking their performance to that next level. So it would be, exciting breakthroughs with, social skills, calming. It does all of those things because it is a listening therapy. But we see executive function is something that develops very well. We also see improvements in like creative problem solving, organization skills. So if you think about like those higher level functional attributes, that's really where we focus on with TLP Level 1. And I also like Level 1 as a follow-up program for Spectrum and Achieve as well. So those first 3 programs all use the most beautiful classical music, and Level 1 even has some nature sounds that we combine with it. And that's the one that Erin has used. So yeah. The 4th program is very different. This one came out in 2014 after, we really develop a close working relationship and even friendships with the professionals that have been using our programs for the last 2 decades. And so we get such great insight about how things are working, what they're finding, what do they need. And they asked us to create a listening therapy that harnesses the power of sound frequency training with a strong emphasis on rhythm. So many of their clients are just so out of sync. They have no idea how to keep a schedule. They're just kind of like, even when it comes to relationships and speaking, they never know like when to speak up, if they're talking over other people. So there truly is a rhythm to every aspect of our life. And when you're in sync, your stress is lower, you feel more connected, you feel like you are just in the flow of life. And there's just a really beautiful, reassuring aspect to that experience. So In Time involves our rhythmic music that's featured by Nacho Aramani. He's the most amazing musician. And we have over 100 instruments from around the world that he's collected over the years. And it's a very powerful, beautiful program. So a lot of people will start there. Some people will use it as a follow-up. But this one, just think about anyone of any age. It's very adaptable so that we make sure that it's, intended and personalized for each person.
Nacho is a phenomenal talent, and it just creates the most exquisite music and sounds. I have to tell you, yes, I used level 1, and I went on after that and used it and followed up with level 2 and did some kind of tweaking in the back end of my dashboard. But what I loved, for me, if anyone was wondering what I used it for as an adult, I think most people who are at the summit by this point know I've suffered from depression and anxiety, panic attacks. I've been hospitalized 4 times. The whole, dealt with suicide. That's the work, the advocacy work I do now. But I was coming at a time in my life when I was ending a relationship. I was very dissatisfied with my work. I think I was even disillusioned with life. And I wasn't feeling connected to humans anymore. I felt very alone, even in fully crowded rooms, and just a lack of desire or inspiration to move forward. Not in such that I was suicidal, but in such that just nothing called me, nothing lit me up anymore. And so going through TLP was something for me. It was just thought, why not, right? It's done all this wonderful work with young people, and I knew adults were getting benefits. And it really did give me something far more than I ever dreamed of. And so if you are an adult and you're curious, and maybe you share some of the issues that I had a few years back, that link will be there to that entire case study. And you can take a look at, each week, I blogged about what it was like, what are the challenges, and what I was facing, and my gains, and what was happening throughout my life, and then a couple of years follow up. Which I don't know about you, Mandy, but I always love case studies. Like, I love to read somebody else's experience and look at that, and it helps me make a decision for myself.
Oh, absolutely. And there's just so many beautiful stories. Yours is still one of my kind of go-to stories whenever I'm working with the adults that we work with, because we do have a lot of people who are reaching out to us, especially now with everything going on in our world. It does, to a lot of people, feel like a very unsafe, uncertain place. And so if we can take a bit of your day and just give you some peace and give you that sense of comfort. I mean, this program literally will rewire, reprogram the way you're processing what's going on around you. So if we can get you into a place where your limbic system feels calm, the way you look at the world starts to change. You start to see more beauty. You start to notice the good. And when we can bring more of that to you by stimulating that part of your brain, it really can make an impact throughout your day, the people you come in to interact with. It really makes a difference. So true.
You couldn't have said it any better. That's a perfect way for us to start to wrap this up. Because you and I could talk about this for hours. We both used it, and we've both gone through so much in our life, and we'll continue. And like you said, life is handing us all quite a bit right now, and has for a year and a half, and will continue. And whatever we can do for that safety and that emotional regulation, and just that, getting our love of life back. And we want to run towards that. And the website is advancedbrain.com. Mandy, any last words before we close out today?
Really, I would just say one of my favorite things to imagine is right now, as we're talking, there are schools, there are military installations, we have hospitals, homes, private practices, somewhere on this planet from Australia to Mexico, Canada, the US, someone is using the listening program right now. And it's really just fun to think about what that experience is like for them and what the rest of their day is going to feel like because they got that moment with our beautiful programs. And I'm just so grateful. It truly is an honor doing this work. It's been so rewarding in my personal life. It's just made such an impact for me, and being able to talk with the people I work with and our providers and everyone that's sharing what we do. I'm just truly so honored. And it's so great being here with you today as well, Erin.
Well, thank you. And if any of you go to the website, you check it out, you have questions, there is a phone number, and these lovely people in the office, they answer the phone. And there's a huge chance that you might get Mandy on the phone, and they are so happy to answer your questions if you need help about this, if you need more clarification. And you can always answer any of the emails that we send out for Brain Summit with questions, and I will forward them on to Mandy, and so we can get you some clarity.
Yes, thank you. We would love to hear from you. Absolutely call us. You will hopefully get a live person on the phone. We don't have an answering service. So yes, call us. We would love to talk with you more.
Thank you, Mandy Doman. Everyone, thank you. And I will see you at the next session.
Thank you.